Big Bank Hank. Whack looking crazy because the lawyer's shooting down every point he's trying to make.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about Pooh Shiesty, right? He was just released from prison the other day, back in October of 2020. He was involved in a series of incidents in Florida that actually led to him being incarcerated. This included a gas station shooting, a robbery involving a drug deal, and an assault at a strip club, right? In January of 2022, he pleaded guilty to one federal conspiracy charge related to possessing firearms in furtherance of violent and drug trafficking crimes. This plea resulted in the dismissal of 3 other charges, including a Hobbs Act robbery charge, which could have led to a life sentence. Now, Pooh Shiesty was sentenced to 63 months, so 5 years and 3 months in federal prison. He served approximately 3 years of that before being released in early October 2025, right, just a couple of days ago. His early release was due to a combination of time served and good behavior. And as far as the general public is concerned, they seen it as Pooh Shiesty stood on all 10. He did his time. He got to come home. Right. Well, today we've got this rumor, this speculation that Pooh Shiesty somehow cooperated in his case coming back to light. And of course, this is thanks to Whack 100. Right. I don't know if you guys remember, but back about 3-4 years ago when all this first went down, Whack 100 had claimed this exact same thing. He was like, oh, Pooh Shiesty, I got paperwork on him. Just like Whack says about anybody, right? It's getting to the point with Whack 100 where if you're a human breathing air, Whack 100 probably has paperwork on you. If Jesus was resurrected and walked the earth again, Whack 100 would swear to God he has paperwork on Jesus. But I see this topic is making more headlines. People are starting to talk about it again because Whack 100 went over on Academics live stream, and basically now that Pooh Shiesty is released, he reapproached the situation. All right, so before we talk about it, I just want to play y'all the clip.
We got to get the official certification. I announced it on the gram. We have Pooh Shiesty who's back home, and he's the only rapper of recent time who came home, never snitched. Is that true or not? The exposers, I heard they did a whole thing on it. We need to know what's the deal.
Well, here goes the thing. You know, I had his attorney 11 months ago on my channel.
Really?
Yeah, I sent you the link. You got the link. The disposal was, we had his attorney. But he made some points. We made some points. But the point that he had to clear up, he was supposed to send the paperwork, and he gave me the word he was going to send it, and he never sent it. Now, I will tell you this. I looked at my phone today, and the exposer's been working overtime, and they got all kind of new paperwork.
Wait, what?
And I ain't ready. But the way they talking crazy on this text blast, hold on, Ak, I'm gonna send it to you so you see it. I ain't ready. They been working.
Wait.
You think I'm fucking around? Hold on, what? You think I'm fucking around? Bro, I haven't. Listen, well, you're gonna see. They let me know, hey, we got a motherfucking problem. And they serious, and I'm gonna be, look at your text, right? So I gotta go in tomorrow and see, look.
Yo, Whack, y'all got niggas circling shit on paper?
Bro, this is the real motherfucking operation, bro. Nigga, I got 51 spies, then you got the exposers. We got paralegals, we got attorneys, we got motherfucking PI, we got all. Bro, you looking at, am I capping? Look, I haven't even had a chance to respond but once. You see they at me. Look, you reading it. They got the PDFs. I don't even want to open the PDFs.
Yo, Whack.
They done found everybody proffers.
Whack. Please just delete this message thread, man.
Bro,
Pooh Shiesty,
whoever victim 1 and 2 is, listen, bro. Look, you see what I'm saying. I haven't even had a chance to address it, but I will tell you this, that when we had his attorney on, didn't I send you the link?
Okay, so as you can hear, Whack 100 is heavily implying that he has some type of paperwork on Pooh Shiesty, right? It's crazy that this is making its way around the news cycle right now, because like I said, this actually happened 3 years ago. WAC 100 went through this exact same process. And it all basically comes from an excerpt from the paperwork where everybody involved took plea deals. WAC 100 is basically like, there's a lot of names in his plea deal. He admitted to a lot in that plea deal, so he's snitching. The excerpt said, as part of the plea, Williams Jr., that's Pooh Shiesty, admitted to participating in the conspiracy on the following 3 occasions. First, on July 7, 2020 in Memphis, Pooh Shiesty was inside a car when an occupant of the car discharged a firearm at a gas station. Second, on October 9th in Bay Harbor Islands, Florida, Pooh Shiesty and his co-conspirators arrived at a meeting to acquire marijuana, codeine, and sneakers. During the meeting, members of Williams' group brandished firearms and assaulted 2 victims. Following the assault, the group departed the scene with the victims' marijuana, codeine, and sneakers. And then third, on May 30th, 2021, Pooh Shiesty assaulted a victim with a firearm at a Miami strip club. Okay, so the part that basically WAC 100 has been claiming says Pooh Shiesty snitches, where it said he admitted to participating in these 3 separate crimes. Except the problem is Pooh Shiesty didn't like just admit to it and give a proffer out and say, oh, I didn't do it. Them dudes are the ones who did it. Everybody here admitted that this is what happened. Everybody that was involved in the case, they all took the exact same plea deal, right? And back 3 years ago, when this all first broke into the news, Pooh Shiesty actually responded to WAC 100.
Y'all be letting that fat, bald-headed, irrelevant ass nigga always voice his opinion on shit and shit, man. Mine ain't shit about John Gangster, cuz. My nigga ain't snitched on no nigga, never been break the fold. Why you think my nigga ain't got no break? Why you think he ain't bounce back out like the rest of these rappers? Fuck you to my nigga. Taking that shit to the chin. You cooperate with rats, nigga. You deal with rats. Come on, man. What are you even speaking on gangster shit?
Not only did Pooh Shiesty respond to this back the first time WAC 100 alleged this, but Pooh Shiesty's attorney actually had spoke on this as well. His attorney posted this right here up that says, this is 100% fake news. WAC 100. There is no paperwork that will say Pooh Shiesty said a word about anything on anything. In fact, none of the 3 charged gave proffers on anything about anything having to do with other people. This is just a straight mistruth. They all took pleas to the same crime and 1 count of a possession of a weapon during a drug crime. None of them gave a proffer about anything. It was a straight plea deal, with all of them having the other 3 life felony counts dismissed. But why bother with facts? Just throw something out for clicks. This isn't the only time that Pooh Shiesty's attorney spoke on this. Like WAC 100 said, he did have a conversation with Pooh Shiesty's attorney on live, where his attorney tried his hardest to clear this up with WAC 100, right? But because WAC 100 is who he is, he could never be defeated. He'll argue until the air runs dry in his lungs. If he has to, he will spend a solid 12-hour work shift on Clubhouse arguing with somebody until they give up and he can claim he won the argument, right? But here is how that conversation kind of went. Now, this was a 2-hour conversation, so this is just a small part of it, but this is essentially how that conversation went.
This is one of those situations that's a little touchy to me because I know him, I know his family, I know the label we signed to. But I also understand the streets and I understand these YouTubers and the narratives and what they're reading. To my understanding, there's a statement in this document that says, in this case, there was a very strong factual proffer made by the government. Okay? In the world of the streets, when they hear proffer, right? Automatically assume cooperation. The verbiage of that is a government factual proffer is a meeting between a criminal defendant or witness and the government where the defendant shares information with the government in exchange for limited immunity. For all of y'all don't know, Napoleon is Pooh Shiesty's actual legal attorney that handled his case. So he has more in-depth paperwork, more in-depth information than what I consider to be shallow. Now, Napoleon, I want you to authenticate, right, that is a line in Pooh's document. In this case, there was a very strong factual proffer made by the government. And
That's not a line in any document that I've seen.
I got this from his father, right? This document came from his father, so I want to send it to you. We represent a movement called the Exposers, and we're not here just to expose people on bad shit, but we're here to
Mhm.
clear things up.
Okay, so what you're looking at right now
Uh huh.
is that this is, I don't know if this is a document in his case, but this looks like a legal filing by an attorney, and it just says in this case there was a very strong factual proffer made by the government, and the appellant's sworn adoption of this proffer also clearly establishes his guilt of the killing of David Jones. Pooh Shiesty wasn't on trial for the killing of David Jones, so I don't know specifically where this
Okay.
document came from in the case I
Now,
was representing him on.
now Napoleon.
You gotta love how the attorney immediately shut Whack 100 down. Like, look, bro, I don't know what document this is you got, but this is about a murder. Pooh Shiesty wasn't even on trial for a murder. You gotta just appreciate how in less than like literally 2 seconds that lawyer shut that whole thing down. But look, let's keep going.
So let me actually read you the factual proffer that was used in the case. It says that the United States of America and the defendant's counsel agree that had this case gone to trial, the United States would have proven the following facts, amongst other, occurred in Miami-Dade County, Southern District of Florida, and elsewhere, beyond a reasonable doubt, and that such facts are sufficient to establish the defendant's guilt to the offenses charged in the indictment. So that is a quote directly from the factual proffer in Pooh Shiesty's case and his co-defendant Bobby Brown's case. Every single defendant in federal court, if they want to plead guilty to the offense charge, they have to sign a factual proffer statement because the courts require defendants to admit to their guilt if they're pleading guilty.
Okay,
If a
Mr.
defendant
Napoleon.
will not admit to the factual proffer, the judge will force them to go to trial. So
Okay.
a factual proffer is necessary just to plead guilty in the case.
Okay.
What his attorney is simply trying to say is that Pooh Shiesty did sign a factual proffer. All the defendants in the case signed that factual proffer. But it wasn't like they sit down with the government and gave over information. They just had what the government alleged. Everybody that was involved was like, yeah, we agree we're guilty of what y'all allege. That's put on a piece of paper. They agree that they're guilty because they have to take a plea, which means they have to agree that they're guilty, right? That's what his lawyer is simply trying to say right there. It's that nobody really gave a statement. They just signed on a piece of paper saying what the government alleged was true. And everybody did that. So it's not like Pooh Shiesty did it and left the other guys high and dry with him admitting that everybody was guilty. No, they all took this plea and admitted it.
So we agree that he signed a factual proffer. We can agree on that.
Of course, just like every
Now,
other defendant who pleads guilty.
okay. The proffer, is it sealed? Is it something that nobody can see?
See, now there you go. So you're listening. It's interesting that
No,
you
I'm
use those
asking.
words.
I'm asking you.
No,
I'm
I
not-
know, but I want to answer that. It's two
Go ahead.
parts to the question.
Go ahead.
Because the factual proffer for purposes of a plea is not sealed. That is
Great.
a court record. It's a public document.
Great.
If someone was cooperating with the government and gave a proper statement to the government, that document would be sealed and it's not a public record.
I'm glad you said that because you
Mhm.
just gave me two examples of if you gave up information or snitched, right? Then
Right.
that proffer, correct me if I'm wrong, that proffer would in fact be sealed.
Correct.
Okay. This type of proffer
Mhm.
that Pooh Shiesty signed to, which you're saying your client just signed to admitting to his crime only, right?
Right. Correct.
It's available.
That's available as a public record, just like every other defendant who actually pleads guilty to a particular offense, gives a factual proffer, and takes a plea. That is a public record, and you can actually see what's written in the factual proffer. I want to correct something too. So
Okay.
there is a safety valve, and I want to. This is something
Okay,
too that
stop
people
right
need
now.
Go ahead.
Are you saying because a lot of people, we gotta know, we understand it. My panel
Right.
understands it, but we got a lot of people in the chat. So
Mhm.
you're saying Pooh Shiesty does have a safety valve?
No, I'm not saying that Pooh Shiesty has a safety valve.
Okay.
I was just about to correct your contention that if a person cooperated with the government, that's the only way you can get safety valve. People can get safety valve without cooperating with the government. Like, for example, if you're a first-time offender and you don't have the requisite criminal history points, you can get safety valve just because you don't have a criminal history.
All right, for legal speak reasons, I'm sure some of y'all don't know what they're talking about right here. A safety valve is basically a federal law that allows a judge to bypass mandatory minimum sentences for certain individuals. Most of the time, it's low-level offenders or non-violent drug offenders who have limited criminal history. And what WAC 100 is about to get into is the 5 specific criteria that somebody has to meet in order to have a safety valve. And those 5 specific criterias are having a minimal criminal history, not being a leader in the offense, not using violence, and providing all known information about the offense to the government. That's what WAC 100 is about to try to hit on. And so he's cleverly using the wording of the 5 criteria to imply that Pooh Shiesty gave them details, right? I just wanted to get that out there because I know some people may be a bit confused about what they're talking about.
There's 5 points to a safety valve. A, that you do not have a prior criminal record. B, you're not head of the criminal organization.
Correct.
C, there was no violence in the crime.
Mhm.
D, you took your plea in a timely manner.
Correct.
And E, the 5th one is you cooperated with the government. Those
That
are the
is
5
complete.
elements.
Right. So
By the book.
No, that's not accurate. There are plenty of people who did not cooperate with the government that did not that are still eligible for a safety valve. So you can get a safety valve as a first-time offenders. As a matter of fact, a lot of people get safety valve for certain type of cases where it's not related to violent crimes or drugs or things like that. It's inaccurate to say that somebody got a safety valve and that means that they cooperated with the government. All that means is that. Go ahead.
Okay, so Wack is an expert manipulator. The lawyer was trying to finish what he was saying right there, but Wack interrupts him. What the lawyer was gonna say is that actually the 5 points don't require cooperation. Instead, they require full truthfulness during debrief, which could just simply be agreeing to what the government accuses you of, not necessarily you giving over details they didn't know. But Wack cut him off, wouldn't let him finish his sentence, because what his attorney was going to say, in addition to that, was that Pooh Shiesty didn't even have a safety valve on his case. Right, so you guys see how Wack kind of takes the information, he manipulates it, makes it about one thing. He tries to basically pull the wool over your eyes because they get into this whole dialogue about it, and Wack is coming off as if Pooh Shiesty has one, but Pooh Shiesty didn't have one.
And I want to make something clear too. Every single defendant in this case signed the same factual proffer. Okay,
all we get that,
huh?
We get that, but it's been cases where every single defendant signed a proffer and all of them told too. So, and we're not concerned with the other ones. We just concerned personally with Pooh. He's the name. He's the one that whatever. So
Right.
if you can give us that docket number where to find it, right, that will really help everybody. So when this comes up, people could go read for themselves that Pooh's information, unlike others, right, is available. Like Blue Da Vinci, he did a safety valve, but
no, he did not get safety valve. I want to be clear about that.
No, Blue Da Vinci got a safety valve.
Oh, Blue Da Vinci. I'm sorry, I was trying to type in.
But when we go to look for the statement, is not available, right? So we do know Pooh Shiesty did not have a safety valve. He just has this stage of a proffer, but his proffer is available for people to see what he actually signed and what statement he gave. And the statement he gave was him admitting guilt for his personal crime, correct?
Exactly. That's correct. In this particular case, there is a transcript of the sentencing hearing, okay? So at sentencing, I can guarantee you this, that had Pooh Shiesty cooperated with the government, he will be jumping up and down about how he helped the government and all these things, and all that would be in the record of the sentencing transcript when he got sentenced to prison. But none of that is there. None of it is about him telling on somebody else. None of it is about him cooperating with the government. I was at all of the hearings, and I am telling you for a fact, nobody in this case cooperated.
What we did see was a government factual proffer. And that's what you're clearing up, what that really means. And the government factual proffer in Pooh Shiesty's situation, unlike other proffers, is available public record where you can actually see everything that was said and everything that was agreed upon and signed off by Pooh Shiesty. Am I correct?
That's correct.
There we have it.
I just want to make sure that something is clear too. So what it actually says is that the United States, the defendant and defendant's counsel agree that had this case gone to trial, the United States would have been able to prove the following facts that are sufficient to establish the defendant's guilt to the offenses charged in the indictment. So I just want to make sure that this is not a statement that anyone gave to the government. Nobody in this case, none of the defendants sat down and talked to the government. This document was prepared by the government, that was reviewed by counsel, all of us, and we agreed, all of the defendants, that this is the factual proffer for everybody. So it begs the question, who did he snitch on if everybody signed this same factual proffer?
You found the
I have. So the factual
document
proffer was given on January 4th of 2022. It's docket entry number 154.
Now, from here, the lawyer has told him what the document was, how he could get the document. Wack wants him to provide the document. And the lawyer makes a point multiple times to say, I cannot put it on the live stream, right? But if you have an attorney, go get the document. What you do is what you do. I represented Pooh Shiesty, so I have to be careful about what I share. At the beginning in the clip with the academics, we heard him say, oh, the lawyer was supposed to send me a document. He never sent me the document. This is what he's talking about.
Could you provide me with that document, right? Me personally, so I can, it doesn't have to be right now. It could be after we're done. Because what I'm saying is, if it's in favor of Pooh, then I don't think that should be a problem.
Right.
All right, so we'll handle that.
And I'm telling you, I will one up you. I will give you the full sentencing transcript where you can see for yourself. I'm on there, Sam Zangane's on there, Brad Cohen is on there. We were a team together that represented these individuals. Nobody is going to say that they should have received a lower sentence because they cooperated with the government.
Did he get below his mandatory minimum, or did he get mandatory minimum and above? Like what was
there was
no minimum?
There was no mandatory minimum. The way that it happened is that he pled guilty to one specific count in the indictment that did not have a minimum mandatory sentence. So therefore, the federal sentencing guidelines kick in, and you get to argue about what the guideline range should be.
So what I'm asking you, Napoleon, is usually they'll say, okay, mandatory minimum 60 months, and it can range up to 98 months. I'm just giving a,
right.
Example,
what you're talking about is the guideline range.
Yeah, yes.
So there was a superseding indictment that charged him with several different counts. Everybody with several different counts. Hobbs Act robbery, conspiracy to commit Hobbs Act robbery, and all these other things. We were going to trial. We were preparing for trial. We flew to Memphis. We flew to all these different places because the government was trying to get us to plead to something that we just were not going to do. They were, 22 years old around that age at the time, and spending 20 years of your life in jail just didn't make any sense. So as a compromise, the government offered everybody in this case to plead to one count of conspiracy to possess firearms in furtherance of a violent and drug trafficking crime. Okay, so that's what they actually pled guilty to. Now, that particular portion of the United States Code or that particular crime does not have a specific offense level. Okay, so what does that mean? You have to look at the facts and the circumstances of the case to determine what the guideline range should be. The government was trying to hold Bobby Brown, Pooh Shiesty, and everybody else to the firearms conspiracy charge in furtherance of an attempted murder. All right. The government was trying to say that the applicable guideline range should be 97 months. Now, again, there's no minimum mandatory penalty, but they were saying that the guideline range should be 97 months. We argued that it was not a robbery. This, at best, was an aggravated assault. And we said that the guideline range should have a lower offense level based on the fact that this is an aggravated assault. If you look at the sentencing hearing transcripts, the judge ultimately agreed with us after looking at the video that this was not a robbery. This was an aggravated assault. So therefore, the guideline range substantially decreased down to approximately 46 months, and that's what the judge sentenced them to. The government was asking for a whole lot in the beginning. They changed their position, dropped down, and then the judge still ultimately agreed with us that the guideline range should be lower than what the government was suggesting, because you got to get you a paid lawyer, and that's what happens when you do.
So at the end of the day, the 97 months after you guys argued what certain charges shouldn't be, what did it come down to?
To the 46 months. Actually, Pooh's was a little bit higher because he had two offenses that were on camera, and the judge found that it was a aggravated assault for the incident in Bay Harbor Islands, and then also the one that was in the Gentleman's Club.
Now, that conversation goes on for about another hour and a half, but that is the general gist of what the conversation was. If you ask me, Pooh Shiesty's lawyer did a wonderful job at clearing this up 11 months ago, because mind you, this interview was 11 months ago, but for some reason, here we are, WAC 100 is back at it again, talking about Pooh Shiesty's got some paperwork on him that makes him look bad. And I mean, man, at this point, like I said at the beginning, if Jesus was walking around, WAC 100 would have paperwork on him. You know what I'm saying? But basically, at this point, y'all gotta let me know what y'all think about all this in the comments down below. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, tap the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a video. And as always, it's been fun rocking with y'all, man. I'm out.